Bitcoin is on a massive rally. Is it time to go all in on Bitcoin? We're going to discuss that and why some of the most inspirational and smartest financial analysts are saying Bitcoin is your flight to safety. We have some Ethereum updates. The mainnet for the Denkun upgrade, that date has been set. Also, a new ERC standard. Could it potentially shake up the entire cryptocurrency industry? We're also talking about Apple. Will they be the winners of the metaverse race? We're going to talk about some trades. Where is Bitcoin headed to next? And much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's get into it. Hola! It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, stale information, repackage that thing up in a fun and sexy way. Super Bowl almost here. 50K. Bitcoin almost here. Which one happens first? The Chiefs win another Super Bowl or Bitcoin hits 50K? Neither. What do you mean? I don't know. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to win. What about everyone's talking about this psyop with Taylor Swift and this and that, but you know who I met yesterday?
She's actually going to be on the cover of Madden 2025. You know that?
You know who I met yesterday? I met the gentleman that runs the entire Super Bowl. He's done it for the last 33 years.
Are you getting those tickets?
I tried really hard. I said, hey, Tim, you know, Sunday, I don't have any plans. He didn't say anything, so I kind of left it at that. I do want to, so today is Friday, my favorite day of the week, because we got our man Forrest joining us. Forrest, how you doing, bro?
Yo, what's up? Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, man, thank you for joining us, Forrest. I was scouring your X profile. I'm trying to do a better job of referring to it as X versus Twitter. And I see you got a potential degen play. We'll go over that here in a little bit. But first, I want to talk about the not-so-degen play, and that is BTC. So this news article from Cryptopolitan.com. Financial experts advocate Bitcoin amidst looming banking turmoil. We kind of talked about this yesterday, but a little more context here. Amid growing concerns over the stability of the U.S. banking sector, renowned financial gurus and experts are cautioning investors about potential economic turbulence on the horizon. Robert Kiyosaki, the acclaimed author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, recently sounded the alarm to his 2.5 million followers on X. He advised investors to seek refuge in assets like Bitcoin, gold, and silver, which he likened to parachutes for a soft landing in the event of an economic crash. You also have people like Cathie Wood, CEO of ARK Invest, echoed the same sentiment regarding Bitcoin's resilience. And then we have this from BlackRock. World's largest manager, BlackRock, says Bitcoin is creating a global internet of value. Among factors increasing adoption, this is from their website, Bitcoin is able to transact across jurisdictions, creating a potential global internet of value that allows assets to move frictionlessly at a low cost and in near real time across borders. Bitcoin is a scarce asset with a fixed supply, and Bitcoin is available to anyone with a mobile phone and an internet connection, meaning it can help more people to participate in the global financial system. So I want to ask you first, Forrest. You didn't really chime in on the conversation yesterday, well, because you weren't on the show yesterday. And last time you were on the show, we had a little bit of a back and forth about Bitcoin and what it does. Do you agree with the analysts here, Forrest? I mean, every time we see banking crisis, right, we see Bitcoin rise in value. Is this now a true narrative for BTC? It might not be the fastest. It might be clunky. It might be energy intensive. But there's obviously a chosen winner here when things start to fall apart in the financial world, and that is Bitcoin. Do you agree with that statement and that outlook?
I'd be wary of it. I think I'd be more like, if you're real, like when things get really bad, like and the economy is crashing, I think Bitcoin is still considered a risk asset at the end of the day because of its level of volatility. And I do think that volatility is going to dampen out over time. And I am bullish on Bitcoin, but we've seen 60, 70+% corrections out of Bitcoin in line with, bear market cycles. And I expect there to be large drawdowns in Bitcoin in the future. I think if you're looking for an asset that's not going to draw down more than 30 or 40%, then Bitcoin's probably not it. Like I would just feel bad. Like I would never tell somebody to buy Bitcoin and then like have them expect it to not see 30 to 40% corrections. Now, I do think that those big corrections are going to be increasingly rare now that we have this Bitcoin ETF bid happening, but I don't want to set false expectations for Bitcoin like it's only going to ever go up and not have some volatile corrections to the downside. I think if you really had to boil it down to like what you want to be in if the economy collapses, it's probably more gold. But I do think that Bitcoin's increasingly taking on this role of, quote unquote, a store of value, and it's being seen more and more like that. But I think it's a slower transition. I think we'll get there, but it's, there's still going to be some volatility along the way. I just don't want to, set false expectations out of people.
Rob, let me ask you, when he says, do you agree with Forrest in terms of it's going to be a slow move to that narrative? And do you think it's because maybe of just catching people up to what Bitcoin is, what it does? A lot of people don't understand Bitcoin, right? You talk to someone who's maybe heard of it a few times. I'll give you an example. Met a lady probably in her 70s. Bitcoin is funny money. That's all they know, right? That's all they know. They hear it from their mainstream media. The financial advisors can't even talk about it. So do you agree with what Forrest is saying, and what are your thoughts on what people like?
You don't need to understand how the markets work to make money on it or to even understand that it's a good investment. The same way you don't need to understand how gold ETFs work, who's custodying it.
But Rob, people understand how gold works, right? Like I have a precious metal.
You might understand the actual asset itself, gold, and you might say, hey, this is a shiny metal. It's a rare earth metal. Yeah, you understand that.
Right.
But
you can't say the same for Bitcoin, right?
But here's the thing. Gold gets its value in modern day by how it trades in the market and what ETFs set the price, essentially, what it's traded for, a host of other factors between mining and what the miners are selling for it. Lots of gold. Gold as a treasury asset. Gold is very complex. When you're looking at it, how does it affect the global markets? How does it get its price? Where does it trade? Behind the scenes, it's more than just, okay, put it this way. When you go and invest in gold through a hedge fund, money manager, retirement account, you're not giving them $1,000 and they buy $1,000 worth of gold in a bar form and throw it in a safe behind your financial advisor's desk. There's a lot of market that is done behind the scenes, right? And the average investor has no idea how that works. Now, sure, Bitcoin, more complex than gold as far as the asset itself, but the markets are pretty similar. Where does gold get its value? Well, is a lot of factors. How does Bitcoin get its value? There's a lot of factors, and that's ever evolving as well. Right now, Bitcoin's getting its value from what the order books are set on the major exchanges. Very curious to see when the volume for these ETFs start to rival the exchanges. Will we look at the order books essentially from Wall Street and get the price there? I mean, the markets are confusing. So, anyways, that's not so relevant to what we're the kind of the narrative here, right? The narrative is banks collapse. What is this going to look like for crypto, right? And that I will say, very interesting. Did you catch the interview yesterday with
Vladimir Putin? The history lesson?
Yeah. So
I didn't watch
Carl. So yeah, I watched the whole thing. And kind of a snooze fest there. I mean, unless you're really into geopolitics and kind of history on Russia, for me, it was hard to watch the whole thing. But there was very, very good insight from Vladimir Putin on America's situation with the hegemony of the dollar being the world reserve currency, and I have it here. I'll have a little snip of the video here.
To use the dollar as a tool of foreign policy struggle is one of the biggest strategic mistakes made by the U.S. political leadership. The dollar is the cornerstone of the United States power, but they won't stop printing. What does the debt of $33 trillion tell us about? As soon as the
34.
political leadership decided to use the US dollar as a tool of political struggle, a blow was dealt to this American power. I would not like to use any strong language, but it is a stupid thing to do and a grave mistake. Look at what is going on in the world. Even the United States allies are now downsizing their dollar reserves. Seeing this, everyone starts looking for ways to protect themselves. But the fact that the United States applies restrictive measures to certain countries, such as placing restrictions on transactions, freezing assets, etc., causes grave concern and sends a signal to the whole world. Do you even realize what is going on or not? Does anyone in the United States realize this? What are you doing? You are cutting yourself off. All experts say this. Ask any intelligent and thinking person in the United States what the dollar means for the US. You're killing it with your own hands.
You know,
Pretty, all I heard there, Bitcoin fixes this, right?
I didn't hear that. I'm just kidding. But it doesn't take a financial or economic guru to understand that eventually you're gonna have to keep printing money to try to get out of debt and pay. It's a Ponzi scheme. You issue new bonds to pay back old bonds. So you raise money to pay back old investors. It's literally a Ponzi scheme.
Also, in that interview, he expanded on the collapse of the dollar yet again, and in a short sentence, he basically said, the experts in America, that he's not even sourcing his own. He said the experts in America are saying that collapse is coming, but is it going to be painful and abrupt, or is it going to be slow and methodical transition out away from the dollar? And so,
for me, the answer is simple, right? They're going to have to keep printing money to pay back old money. And as more of the dollars they print stay in the US, we're going to see what's called inflation, potentially hyperinflation. You do not want to be left holding a big bag of fiat when that happens. You want to be in commodities like gold, Bitcoin, silver, some other cryptocurrencies, not XRP, even though XRP is making us some money on the trade there. Before we move forward, I do want to give a big shout out to our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business scale and grow and maximize your networking, IT, and cybersecurity, there's no company we'd recommend more than Cam's Blue Wire Tech. Visit bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video. So ETF update here I want to share with you guys. So this is from cryptonews.com. ETF history made. BlackRock and Fidelity's Bitcoin launches become the talk of Wall Street. And then we have this tweet from Bitcoin Magazine. Yesterday was the third biggest inflow for spot ETFs since the launch, per Bloomberg's James Safer. We have this: BlackRock and Fidelity spot ETFs dominate the top 25 after 1 month of launch. And just take a look at this. Two separate companies in the same sector of ETFs. This is pretty damn impressive. And then we have this as well. This is kind of interesting. Curious to get you guys' takes on this. From AP Abacus, another reminder as to why Grayscale's fees remain so high. They have legal fees and fraud payouts to fund at their parent company, DCG. We talk about this all the time. DCG owns a lot of companies, but their money maker, their bread and butter has always been GBTC. 2% fees per year. They were making a killing on it. And now, obviously, this was he was retweeting a post by Bloomberg, said the alleged fraud at Gemini and DCG was 3 times bigger than initially thought. And so the fees are growing, the lawyer fees, the fees are going to have to pay, the restitutions. So and I'll go to you first, Forrest. Any thoughts on the ETF and kind of what I went over and how it's been wildly successful? And then what are your thoughts on what Andrew says here in this X post?
Yeah, so I think what's happening with the ETF flows, and I think today's going to be a really, really big day, really important day, because we're starting to see acceleration of net positive inflows. So the last 3 days have subsequently been larger than the last. I think we had like a 33 million net inflow, then somewhere around 100
real quick
change net inflow.
Just to tag along with what you got here. If you want to pull this up, Rocco, on my laptop, I have the net inflows listed here.
Yep.
So yesterday we were at 1.8. We were up $2.2 billion. So we had $400 million enter into as a net positive, netted positive $400 million just in the last 24 hours, or the close of day yesterday. So just to give you a number there on how fast this is accelerating, almost 20, about 20% on rise on the net inflows. So there you go.
Oops. Yeah. So, like I was saying, the last 3 days have been subsequently larger than the previous day. So we started at like 33 million. That was like 100 and change, and then yesterday was net positive inflow of 405 million, as Rob just showed us. So today is going to be really, really interesting, because fund, just like you and I, just like, you know, just like all of us, fund managers, they feel FOMO and pressure too. Like they've still got to allocate capital to markets and trade markets just like we do. They're potentially in a situation where going into the weekend, knowing how Bitcoin can run and start to run hard, they don't have access to investing over the weekend into Bitcoin and these Bitcoin ETFs. So today they're kind of in a situation where they're seeing this accelerating trend, and they kind of have to make a decision of whether or not they want to allocate. Over the weekend, if Bitcoin spikes another $2,000 or $3,000, they're getting a much worse price on Monday morning than they would be if they were allocating today. So if we see net positive inflows that are more than 405 million, more than what they were yesterday, that is a very strong accelerating trend. And I think we could see Bitcoin potentially, no guarantees here, but we could potentially see a lot of FOMO into Bitcoin from these fund managers today. And then if we see an accelerating trend, we might see the Bitcoin markets accelerate over the weekend, and then everyone's got to pile in on Monday. I think there's pressure for these funds to allocate. It looks like a couple of funds have allocated now that Bitcoin's price is going upwards. They've got to make a decision. Do we want to allocate in this range or look like bozos when Bitcoin's at, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 and potentially have to buy higher? So, I think there's an element of FOMO here, especially with the halving coming up.
Can't be a coincidence that yesterday's net flows are significantly larger than any other day throughout the ETFs, positive $400 million, and yet we see Bitcoin cross 48,000 on a couple exchanges for just a short period of time, and then pull back. But I mean, 48 hours ago we were at 42,000. Think about that.
Should have entered that damn long trade, man.
That's we're up over 10% on the 48 hours on Bitcoin. It's pretty significant.
We're about to make so much money, it's ridiculous. I want to piggyback off what Forrest said, and I want to share this. So there's something called money market funds, okay? And as of June of last year, there's over almost $5.5 trillion with a T that is parked in money market funds. Now, what is a money market fund? Think of it like investing in bonds. It's an investment in short-term assets and securities such as cash equivalents, and highly liquid near-term instruments. So essentially, this is where if the fund rates are high enough, right, where you're outpacing inflation, you're even sometimes outpacing government bonds. So people park their money there. No reason to take risk if I can earn 5%. And I'm 3% on top of what inflation is. I'm also beating what the Fed's going to pay me or the Treasury is going to pay me if I buy their bonds. That money, as the Fed starts cutting rates, is eventually going to start flowing into the risk-on markets, which includes Bitcoin, which includes cryptocurrency. So here you go, another $5.5 trillion that's just sitting on the sideline that will, mark my words, it will get deployed by this year. I don't know how much of that money, but it will. How much of that money is going to flow into Bitcoin? I mean, if this was 2 years ago, it would be negligible, right? You don't have those rails. These financial institutions don't have those rails to do it. Now they do. And it's as easy as sell this and buy this. One account, have exposure to direct Bitcoin. We're going to get into the charts here in a second, but I want to share this. As Rob mentioned, Bitcoin skyrockets past 46K, leaving over 100 million in liquidations, as we can see here, 156 to be exact, over the last 24 hours, but 103 of it came in the last 12. And of course, if we go to the last 12 hours, 69% of only 69% were shorts, huh? And over the last 24 hours, 73% were shorts. And then we have this. And then, Forrest, I'm going to go to you for a Bitcoin chart right after this. So Bitcoin is rallying 2 months before the halving. This is from Rec Capital. Like clockwork, history loves to repeat itself. So, Forrest, with that being said, Bitcoin, as Rob mentioned, did wick above 48K briefly. Looks like we're in this, where are we at right now? 47.8. What does the Bitcoin chart look like? And what are your thoughts on this? Do you see, can you verify what this tweet is referring to? Are we seeing similar movement like we did in the past halvings?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me pull up a chart here. Share my screen. There we go. Yeah, so exactly. Usually we rally into the halving. So I do kind of discount the first halving just a little bit because just it was the first halving. No one really kind of knew what was going to happen with the halving, but we did see a rally into it. We saw kind of this nice symmetric triangle, and we exploded afterwards after that supply. The 50% of this Bitcoin emissions, the supply halving, goes into play. And then everyone kind of like for the second halving, everyone was super bullish going into it, right? But if we kind of zoom in a little bit on this, you see a big rally in the 30 to 60 days beforehand. But then you actually saw a crash afterwards, almost as if everyone kind of expected the halving to just send us into a huge bull market. And it didn't immediately do that, right? We saw that correction, and then it just takes some time for that supply halving to actually kick in, right? And I actually think that we're probably going to see something somewhat similar this time around. I think that the halving, I'm not going to call it a sell the news event because I am ultimately bullish on Bitcoin going into the halving, but it's not like 50% of the supply of Bitcoin just disappears overnight and it like hits overnight. It's 50% of the production of Bitcoin per day, it disappears, right? So it can take some time to go into effect. So I actually do think that a lot of funds are going to be allocating going into this. We've got a couple of trend lines here. Actually, pretty bullish on Bitcoin at the moment because we're seeing some of this expanding volatility. But then the last halving, we had a big black swan event right before it. We had COVID, but despite that, again, we saw a huge rally going in directly before the halving, and even before COVID happened, we were starting to see a rally further out going into the halving. Right. So this time around, we're 70 days out of the halving, 60, 70 days, somewhere around there, a couple months. I do think that we are very likely to continue to rally into the halving, and then post halving or, going into the halving, don't be shocked, guys. Don't be shocked if we saw what we saw the last two market cycles, big rally into the halving and then some correction or consolidation. That would be pretty normal. That would be to be expected. Not a lot different from the ETF, right? We saw a big rally into the ETF decision, right? And then a correction and consolidation, and now we're on the move back up. So that's my base case. That's my expectation. So I think you're going to see a lot of people take their Bitcoin allocations going into this Bitcoin halving, and then you'll probably get some consolidation before continued upside due to the supply decrease.
Awesome. I want to talk about this, Forrest. So this is an article from newsbtc.com. ADA price is primed for a rally, and only one thing is holding it back. So a couple of things noted here, talking about it moving past the 50-cent resistance zone. Talking about on the 4-hour, the price is trading above the 100 simple moving average. And it says the one thing that could potentially stop this Cardano rally is if Cardano fails to reclaim the 53.5 cent level. What are you seeing on the ADA chart for us? And I'll kind of pull one up on my end too, but you can show yours first.
Yeah, let me get to my chart here. We'll go to Cardano. Oh, it's Cardano Bitcoin. A sec here, Cardano. Yeah, so whoops, let it load. Okay, let's get rid of this halving indicator. Yeah, so Cardano likes to run really, really hard in bull market cycles. It's very, very popular on YouTube. It's very, very popular among retail. Look, if Bitcoin runs hard, Cardano is very likely to run hard as well. It is one of the top performing coins last market cycle, 19,000 and change percent. Huge, huge, huge multiples off of the bottom. Now, I do think that there's more competition in the layer one space than there was last market cycle. Last market cycle, it was kind of like Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Solana, Avalanche, Cardano. Cardano did not have smart contracts for pretty much the entirety of the bull market, and it still performed really well just based off of its popularity with retail. I do think retail will play a big part. It probably lesser of a role than in the past because we have so much institutional demand going on. But I would expect some upside for Cardano if we go in another bull market, and that's becoming my base case. I wouldn't want to just completely fade Cardano in a bull market. May it lag behind some other stuff? Certainly. There's like a lot of narratives out there with Celestia and Cosmos and interoperability and modular blockchains, and then you've got Solana and Sui and Say. You've got all these other chains coming online that are very, very fast. But like we talked about earlier in the week on Tuesday, like Cardano is a really, really robust chain with a lot of uptime. What I'd like to see out of Cardano is basically more demand come in. I'd like to see more network demand come in. I'd like to see transactions per second go up. I'd like to see TVL go up. We'll be paying attention to a lot of the DeFi metrics on Cardano to make sure that it's being used. And if those metrics look good, then I think there's no reason to fade Cardano. I think it's just going to be very, very popular among retail traders yet again. And overall, the chart looks good. I mean, we're flipping. We talked about this same setup on Ethereum, where you're just flipping that prior support that turned into resistance into demand, into support. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Cardano run with the rest of the market. Do I think it's going to be like a huge outperformer? That's yet to be seen. But I also don't think it's going to be like something that gets you in a lot of trouble as long as the market's doing well.
Yeah, I'm going to swap over to my laptop here, and I'm kind of looking at ADA on the daily. We have a lot of room to run here. So I got a few things going on. So we are using the Lux Algo Premium indicators here. So the first one on top here, you can see these candles are a little different. We're using these signals and overlays. And what this allows us to do is it gives us support and resistance bands, essentially. And you can see here, typically, and these are dynamic bands, so they do evolve with the time frame. And so when you do start bumping up against the lower and the top ends of these bands, you do start to get a reversal to the flip side. And we have a lot of room to run here until we reach the bottom end of this band. Is going to be about 64.5 cents. If we take a look at the matrix oscillator on the bottom here, the hyperwave did cross above this money flow threshold. And all we're really waiting on is money flow to start turning green. Last time money flows turned green on the daily chart, Cardano was right around this 27.5 cent level. And of course, when that did happen towards the probably about halfway through that cycle, we did get a buy signal here. But from the moment this money flow turned green, from bottom to top, we had a rally of over 140% on ADA. So this is something that I'm looking at. Another one that we saw yesterday was XRP. And I'll kind of, bring this down a little bit. But yesterday, so we entered into a XRP long trade yesterday. And we talked about this very scenario happening. And it did. It happened exactly like we thought it would. So we bought in right around this 51.3 cent level. We expected this to break to the upside. We also expected a bump and run. So we expected price to come back down, retest this upper line of the symmetrical triangle, right? Which it did perfectly wick down there, and it started moving to the upside. If we take a look on the matrix oscillator, we did get a green dot printed here. Money flow is green, and we are up on the hyperwave, and we are gaining congruence on this meter here. And not yet, but we're approaching overbought territory on XRP. That is on the 1 hour. If I zoom out to the 4 hour, again, this is looking like a pretty bullish setup. Where I'm looking at for XRP for some like immediate resistance, it's going to be right around that 53.9. Let's call it 54 cent level. If I throw on these signals and overlays, again, from Lux Algo, you can see we are kind of bumping up against that upper resistance band, but technically it's got room. It's got room to run to about 56.1 cents. And this is the position where we're in right now. XRP, we did put in a 20x long position. We are currently up 32% on XRP. Forrest, what are you seeing on XRP? Are you seeing kind of the same levels I'm seeing, or what's your thesis on short-term price action for XRP?
Yeah, let me share my screen here once again. Yeah. So XRP here, looking at the long time frames for XRP, and I actually want to go to a bigger chart. XRP. Let's go to this right here. Yeah. So I've shared my thoughts on XRP before, but it is just in this massive consolidation, right? We saw the last time, this is the 3-day chart. We could probably even go out to the weekly, but we saw the last time this broke a major consolidation level. It saw just an insane run and an insane, like, here's another symmetric triangle, mid bull market consolidation. Look, I don't have a strong fundamental thesis for XRP. I'm not going to try to pretend that I'm super bullish on XRP, but I'm also not going to ignore, very bullish looking long time frame charts or high time frame charts. So if we kind of, zoom in just a little bit on our most recent price action, again, we have the expanding volatility out of XRP. This is a super bullish pattern. We're seeing this on Bitcoin right now. We saw it on Bitcoin last market cycle before we went into a big markup and a big bull run. And we're towards the bottom of the trend line. So as far as an entry goes, it's probably not the worst place to take an entry, especially with the rest of the market running pretty hard. I do think it's a little bit higher risk reward, but it's at the end of the day, this is of expanding volatility that most of the time breaks upwards. I've brought this up before many times, but we saw oil just recently put in this pattern of expanding volatility, right? We've seen Bitcoin. We're actually seeing it with Ethereum as we speak, right? So Ethereum, turning this into support and seeing the expanding volatility. We're seeing this on XRP, which is bullish. And then we're seeing it also on Bitcoin. You kind of see, I was kind of messing around with it here, but we saw it on Bitcoin last market cycle as well, this period of expanding volatility. So I'm not with everything looking as bullish as it's looking. And then you go to the XRP chart and it starts, you start to see that expanding volatility on the 3-day chart. To me, that's not to be faded. That's not to be discounted. Again, I'm not like fundamentally super bullish on XRP, but we see this expanding volatility and we're at the bottom of the range and bouncing off of it quite nicely. I think XRP has the opportunity or the ability to run super hard. Just based off of the chart alone. Again, I know a lot of people are going to be like anti-XRP. They're like, I don't know what would cause this, fundamentally either, but maybe there's something we don't know that could cause it to happen. All I see is expanding volatility and the chart looks bullish. I think it's worth a stab.
All right.
So you like our long trade then?
Yeah, I think if you got an entry towards the bottom of this correction here, I think you're in awesome shape. Personally, I'd be letting that ride for a while.
Shout out to Rob for
Not
convincing me to
financial
do 20x leverage instead of 15. So
Yeah, that's right.
what's up, Rob?
I do want to just kind of give you guys, I'm a big supporter of Cardano here, so just a couple things to shed light on the outside of the charts. Well, I will say on the charts, Bitcoin in the last year has outperformed Cardano. We've had over 2x. Bitcoin 1 year ago today was at 21,000. Now, obviously, crossing near 48,000. So well over 2x. Same time, Cardano in the last 1 year, 30 cents to 50. So you've been better holding Bitcoin up until this point. But I do think that 2024 is going to be a big year for Cardano. Let's not forget about their coming upgrades. We have Emergo. Emergo is the next stage of Cardano's evolution. They have a lot of big things coming up. Also, there have been some big partnerships out of the Cardano community. They've partnered with Arbitrum. Also, they have partnered with Mina Protocol as well. Pretty bullish on Cardano. The ecosystem is becoming more diverse. You're starting to see other companies come in and partner with them, and it's not just fully on retail. The big knock on Cardano has always been, the developers aren't here, the dApps aren't built, but we're seeing that they're building with Mina Protocol, Arbitrum, and Emergo is gonna
and then Midnight sidechain too. That's gonna be big.
Yeah,
privacy sidechain. It should be interesting. I do want to share the crypto bubbles here. Take a look at what the rest of the markets are doing. Some of the altcoins here. Sui is up 16.5%. RUNE, Thorchain is up 12.3%. Forrest, just real quick. Thorchain is their main utility use case is cross-chain swaps, right? If we're seeing that more common on the native chains, like Jupiter does it, right? And by the way, our video this afternoon in collaboration with Forrest, we're going to show you how to make money in the Solana ecosystem with the Jupiter platform. But do you see a project like RUNE maybe 2-3 years ago where you didn't have all these interoperable dexes and cross-chain was so easy and stuff like, even though it's not implemented fully, CCIP? You think projects like this, who were so successful, are kind of going to start fading away? What are your thoughts on that?
No, not necessarily. I think, right, there's going to be a demand for cross-chain interoperability and cross-chain swaps, and it's all about just user acquisition. I think the DEX and the SEX space in general is very, very competitive. It's very profitable if you can come in and create a decentralized exchange or a centralized exchange. And grab a lot of market share, but we see so many competitors in this space. So I do think there's going to be an increased amount of demand for cross-chain swaps and just for on-chain swaps in general on various blockchains. Hashflow is another project similar to RUNE that does cross-chain swaps. They're backed by like major VCs. But yeah, I mean, I don't see the demand going away for the use of DEXs and cross-chain swaps. I really don't. But what I do see is increased competition. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be a reduction in demand that leads to the demise of some of these cross-chain DEXs or DEXs in general. I think it's just going to be that you're going to see a few dominant winners emerge, whether that's Uniswap and Jupe and a few other DEXs. I think over time, most emerging technologies, most emerging spaces see conglomeration and consolidation over time, right? You look at the phone space, right? We got rid of BlackBerry. They went out of business, but we still have, Apple and a very, Samsung. I think we're going to very likely see that same thing play out with some of these decentralized exchanges, and it's all about user acquisition. The projects and the DEXs that can gather the most amount of users and keep them and be sticky with those users are going to be the ones that succeed.
Amen. I do want to give a big shout out to Army Piper giving us a $4.99 super chat. Shout out to the Sin City team. You guys bring quality every time. We appreciate you, Army Piper. Thank you so much. And then Alex O said, I'm with Piper. Sorry, it's Canadian. It's okay. We
also a big shout out to Muhammad. We have Crypto Golfer DD, Zen Guy, and Ralph Atkinson. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Also, we are at almost 400 live viewers, but 130 likes. So that means a whole lot of you haven't took the time to like the video.
Shame.
What's going on, man? Like the video. Also, let's drop an Ola in the chat. Let's get an Ola train going. We got almost 400 people here, so I'd like to see a couple hundred Olas.
At least 600 Olas, guys.
So let's get an Ola spamming of the chat. So I'll put the first Ola in there. That's OLA. If you're here in attendance, put OLA in the chat.
Also, Army Piper again said, I agree with Alex agreeing with me. Thank you. You want to continue your conversation using super chats, please feel free to do so. We appreciate it.
Also,
Seriously,
we
I
have
appreciate
a whale membership as well. If like to go over the top of everyone.
Look, our whales, we appreciate everyone that supports the channel. Obviously, if you're a whale member, you're paying the most amount of money. And so we're trying to bring you guys value. We got you 40% off for all the whale members that want it on the Lux Algo. We're working with a couple other of the companies and a couple other people we're working with to get you guys specific and special discounts. So we appreciate all of you that support us and support this channel. I do want to go over one more here on the bubble. That is Beam. And while I was scouring my buddy Forrest's Twitter here, and it seems like he might have dropped some alpha. Forrest, what do you mean by this? Decipher this for us, please. Is this something that we should have our eye on?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty degen play. I mean, if you want to be a little safer, just go with Beam. But honestly, Beam's towards the top of its range. I think it's actually going to break out. I've been pretty bullish on it. Been accumulating towards like the 0.016 and 0.017,
for those
0.018 ranges.
For those that don't know Beam, can you just like a quick like cliff notes?
Yeah, it's like an Avalanche subnet. I'm not an expert on Beam by any means, but like if you're looking for some blockchain gaming exposure, I think Beam's a really good option because it's like kind of a subnet specifically designed for blockchain games in general. We're also starting to see like some Avalanche games really pop off. I think Mavia is a Avalanche game. I could be wrong, but then Shrapnel I think launched recently and is getting a lot of popularity. And I know Shrapnel for a fact is built on Avalanche.
Yeah.
So Beam is, it's pumping pretty nicely. And if you go and look at the actual tokens that are on the Beam network, there's not a lot of them. And there's only one meme coin. And look, we see a lot of meme coin speculation. It's called Beamcat. Look, I know it's stupid, it's crazy, but it is like a $1 million market cap. So I bought some. Just like probably it's BCAT, BCAT.
Is it even listed on CoinMarketCap?
It's on CoinGecko. Maybe not on CoinMarketCap, but it is on CoinGecko as BCAT. But yeah, it's very look, guys. It's a degenerate meme coin play. If you want to go for it, go for it.
You understand that
like
90% of these people watching are degenerates, right? Including myself. So don't feel.
Yeah, well, I bought a
I
nice
had an
chunk.
extra
You do have to
television.
bridge some money over to Beam, and
I had an
you'll
extra
go to Beam
television
Swap, but
the other
There it
day.
is.
Oh, was it? I had an extra television. It was like last year. I had just been sitting there in my loft forever. I hadn't turned it on in a minute. Sold it for $200 and bought some crypto.
nice.
Check under the mattress. I have a feeling that might be some under
After I deposited and bought some speculative asset, I was like,
Did you cash this pump for us? This 41% pump here?
Yeah. I've been in Beamcat for a little while, and
You're
then
just
I
a
bought more
machine,
today when I
dude.
saw
You
Beam
are
was
an
pumping.
absolute machine, bro. This dude is a machine, man. I swear to God. Also, shout out to all the other super chats for agreeing with each other. We love you guys. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on from that to this. Apple is poised to bring metaverse mainstream and dominate the market. Of course, this is on the back of their Vision Pro. And then here's an inside look on, well, the Vision Pro and what you could potentially see in there. Is there audio on this, Rocco? Okay. Let me double check here. It's not going to hit the same if there's no audio. It should be audio coming in. All right, we'll save that for another day.
you have it unmuted on the on Twitter?
Yeah, it's unmuted. Anyways, Apple Metaverse. Do you guys agree with what this article headline is saying? Is Apple is going to dominate the metaverse market? Do you think any crypto project in the space, whether it's Decentraland, whether it's Sandbox, has any chance of standing up and outcompeting or competing with Apple if they decide to go all in on metaverse, starting with their Vision Pro headset? Robin, I'll ask you first.
But here's the thing. So for our space, is Apple going to offer any products that incorporate crypto?
Probably not.
And so for me, I think that Apple's very similar in gaming to what I consider like Nintendo, right? Nintendo doesn't offer all the third party franchises out there, right? You're not playing Call of Duty and Halo and all of these other games. Those don't play on Nintendo, right? They have their own internal games, the suite of games they have, including Mario and the Super Smash Brothers and Pokemon. And I feel like Apple probably would do something similar, right? They're probably going to have their own little small category of games that they're heavily invested in that I just don't see having any exposure to crypto. I think that the crypto and metaverse and crypto and Web3, I think those are going to be more of third party, lower budget kind of games. I might be wrong. iOS, the marketplace, the iPhone marketplace is, the categories, the catalog there is millions of apps deep. But for me, I think that Apple is going to be very hesitant to have incorporate anything Web3 crypto style. But I think that what it does is it pushes competition to invest harder and really develop
Like
out
a
the
race to the
space.
finish line, it becomes.
Yeah. And so even though Nintendo might not have those third-party games like I mentioned, they're still taking a market share. And so Xbox, PlayStation, they have to come to the table and compete directly against Nintendo, and they have to develop titles that go head to head with those catalogs, even though they're in different categories, right? And so even though Apple might not cater to this Web3 and crypto space, the fact that they're building out in the metaverse is extremely bullish for Web3 and gaming as far as an immersive VR experience, because the hardware that they're creating is going to create direct competition with the people that are building Web3 gaming and metaverse. So on one end, bullish. From Apple, I wouldn't hold your breath on anything cool coming out of there. But I mean, I'm excited for what Oculus comes out with next, right? Right now, we got the Oculus 3 out, which is pretty impressive. I had hands-on with that one. A lot of fun there. There's a lot of development potentially that could come down in the Web3 and gaming there and metaverse. But maybe the Oculus 4 might be the one, man. That might be the end all be all, bro.
I heard Decentraland's coming out with one too. Just kidding. Forrest, what are your thoughts on I guess the same question, right? Apple metaverse. Is it going to be good for crypto, or like Rob mentioned, hey, is there even going to be any crypto involved? If there's not, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What are your general thoughts?
No, I mean, I think if we do see any type of crypto integration, it'll be strictly from Apple within like a Apple crypto ecosystem if they ever launch one. But what I don't know if I see that happening anytime soon. I think it'll probably be a continuation of the Apple walled garden, right? So a good example is on iPhone. We saw Fortnite available to play on iOS for a period of time, and then Apple banned it. Why'd they ban it? Because in-game, Epic Games, the founders or the creators of Fortnite, they were selling like in-game skins and items, but not through Apple's. The Apple wants a fee on all of that stuff. So there's like entire ecosystems of like financial ecosystems within a lot of these games that are decentralized in nature. And the whole point is to not give a fee to a big middleman, right? The whole point is to be decentralized and have like decentralized marketplaces within these games, and not let a centralized actor like Apple take a 30 to 40% fee on every single transaction. So I just don't think the two are going to mesh at all. And I think you'll see a lot of popular blockchain games, and it'll probably be on different headsets that are more open source or more friendly to Web3 games. But I think Apple, at least at this moment in time, they don't want any part of, the transaction or a Web3 ecosystem where they can't actually take a fee.
No, I see a lot of hate towards Apple. They suck. And the way they've treated some of these dApps and crypto companies that are launching products on the App Store, I think is wrong. But at the end of the day, love them or hate them, they're one of the if not the most valuable company in the world. Talking about resources, money, teams of people, and if they kickstart the building of the metaverse, like Robin mentioned, I agree with him. It's only gonna, I don't know if inspire is the right word to use, but it's going to push the rest of the competition in our space to maybe, see what they're doing. But hey, our stuff is like not very good. If we want to be in the space and we want to create a little niche for ourselves, we got to up our game. And I think that is when you really will start to see the speed at which the metaverse starts to grow. I mean, look at AI and the Chat GPT, right? You had OpenAI release Chat GPT 3.5 or whatever. And then what? Less than a year later, we have 3, 4, 5 of them, and they're great. They're faster. They're not permitted to only before 2021. I think we're going to see the same adoption in the metaverse if a company like Apple takes the reins and decides to build it out. Do want to give an update on Ethereum here. Ethereum has finally set the date for their mainnet upgrade of the Denkun upgrade. So March 13th, it is currently in the third phase of its testnet testing. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow layer 2s that settle on Ethereum to settle for cheaper and passing those savings discount on to the end user, which would be you using the platform if you are using a roll-up or layer 2 on Ethereum. We also have this very, very interesting here, guys. ERC-404 token. So we have ERC-20 and ERC-721. And in this article, we're going to talk about what those are and what the 404 is. It is gaining traction amidst the base. So the aim of this ERC-404 is NFT fraction ownership and token revolution. An unofficial Ethereum standard, ERC-404, which blends ERC-20 and ERC-721 token standards, is making waves in the blockchain community. So ERC-20 tokens are all your tokens like SHIB, Pepe, Uniswap, essentially any project or token that is fungible that is built on top of Ethereum. 721 tokens are NFTs. These are non-fungible tokens. So if you have any Ethereum NFT, that is a ERC 721 token. This innovative approach combines the fungible nature of ERC 20 tokens with the uniqueness of the ERC 721 tokens, again NFTs, enabling fractional ownership and enhanced utility for NFT assets. While ERC 404 remains unofficial and unaudited, it has garnered significant attention from developers and industry players. Critics point to potential vulnerabilities such as the possibility of theft by ERC 404 token holders if NFTs are deposited in lending protocols that are not configured for this new token standard. So I'll start with you first, Robin. I'm not a coder or a blockchain developer, neither are you. I know, Forrest, you probably have the most experience out of all of us, but I'll start with you first, Rob. What are your thoughts on this? Is this something that could potentially revolutionize not just tokens, but the NFT marketplace as well?
Yeah, I don't really understand the workings of it, but I will say that the ERC-20 seems like it's not optimal, right? That's the one that has the most or has very high transaction fees. I know that like here's an example. I go to send you some Ethereum on MetaMask. Transaction fee is dramatically cheaper than to mint an NFT or even use ERC-20s in whatever smart contract form you want. And so will there be upgrades that make it more efficient? Absolutely. Is this going to be the winner of that race? Will this garner more adoption than an ERC-20? Perhaps. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I think this and more to come. And I mean, we saw what happened with the Bitcoin ordinals. That was unexpected as well. Kind of came out of nowhere. I would expect Bitcoin also to have new tokens that are inscribed on Satoshis that maybe are comparable to the BRC-20. And with that, maybe we see a BRC 404. You know what I mean? I don't know. I can't really speak on it as an expert, but I think there's more to come. And I do think the ERC-20 is outdated. So,
Forrest, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so still watching how this unfolds, but I think the biggest implication for NFT fractionalization is it just allows market caps of projects and prices of projects to go higher than they normally could. So I'll give you Bored Ape as an example. Bored Ape Yacht Club, I think they reached a floor price of around 400,000 US, somewhere around 400,000 US dollars, basically the cost of a house. Well, when the floor price of a Bored Ape goes to $400,000, the pool of buyers up there is so low. It's like it couldn't go any higher. It couldn't possibly have gone any higher. And the reason it couldn't possibly have gone any higher is because you don't have any buyers. You have basically only sellers. You have a lot of people who $400,000 selling their Bored Ape for 400 grand is life-changing money, and they're very incentivized to sell. But you don't have a lot of incentivized buyers who can even afford a $400,000 NFT. Well, if you fractionalize that NFT into a bunch of different pieces, all of a sudden your pool of buyers goes drastically up, even at the price point of $400,000 per NFT, because you could buy a share of that NFT. You could buy, $10 worth of that NFT, or $20, $100 worth of that NFT, and then you can continue to push the price up on the NFT. So I think we saw the absolute cap of what an NFT collection could realistically go to. There's very few that can go beyond 6 figures. But this potentially allows, the prices of those NFTs and market caps of NFT collections to continue to rise.
That's a great point for us. Then I'm just kind of thinking outside of just JPEGs and Bored Apes. Imagine something like real estate, right? Can't afford a home. Housing prices are pricing people out of ever owning a home. You look at not even in the US, like countries like Canada. And so could this make it easier and more common for people to either purchase a home and live in it, and essentially you have a bunch of fractionalized investors who earn a percentage of whatever that looks like. But this is just the beginning, and it's just curious. Like I said, it's like the article said, like Forrest said, very early in the development. It hasn't been audited yet. We don't know the ins and outs. Obviously, we mentioned some potential risks, but I'm curious, something I'm going to be keeping my eye on. But shout out to ETH and those group of developers that are continuing to revolutionize the space. I know we tend to forget, you got this shiny new toy, whether it's Cardano or Solana or Avalanche. A lot of times we forget about the daddy, which is ETH. I mean, Robin hasn't forgotten about it, 40K by 2026, but that's besides the point,
I do want to shift the thought here on something very interesting.
Oh, here we go. What?
So going back into the archives of Jim Cramer. Rocco, you pull up my laptop here. Yeah, Jim Cramer. This was on January 23rd. Okay, just pay attention to the date here. Okay, so you have January 23rd. Let's see here. January 23rd, as you see. Now that Bitcoin's down 20% from its all-time high, or from its high, I expect a strong stand to be made, and it won't hold because there's not enough money coming in. So new theme, number go down. So Jim Cramer saying number go down on January 23rd, which Robin, taking a look at the chart here.
No, wait.
This is January.
Robin, wait. Which candle do you think is Jim Cramer's tweet? I'll give you a hint. It's this one. Oh my God, he's the best. We love you, Jim Cramer. Keep tweeting bad stuff. So from wick to top, 30%, 25%.
Yeah.
That's great.
I literally, and it's not just he timed that tweet perfectly. I mean, like this is literally January 23rd.
Let me ask you a question.
So this is the 1 month chart. Like honestly, like if any day to tweet this, literally January 23rd right here. So
I want to ask you guys, do you think Jim Cramer hedges himself by tweeting that and then going and putting money into the inverse Cramer ETF?
I don't think.
I mean, I don't know. It's just impressive how I guess inverse Cramer performs. It's just shocking every single time.
Every single time. Like, how does he do it, man? I would love to bring him on the show. Jim, if you're watching.
The thing is that he literally his quote was number go down. It literally didn't go down, not even a candle wick down. It literally was the bottom. So
man. Today was a great show. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Big shout out to all of the new people in here. Also want to give a big shout out to our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. You want to learn how they can help your business scale and grow, visit bluewiretech.com. Super Bowl Sunday, guys. Have fun, stay safe. I guess go Chiefs, I guess. The Niner fans are just very annoying. Bay Area fans are annoying. I just came to that conclusion. Oakland, annoying. San Francisco fans, annoying. All they do is Niners. Chiefs are also annoying in some sense, but not as annoying.
Make up your mind.
Who are you voting for or rooting for us? Any winner? And did you put any bets on any platform like Rollbit or Stake?
No bets. I'm going for the 49ers because I like the quarterback, Purdy. I'm not a big fan of the Swift and Kelsey alliance, so we're going 49ers.
Hey, the Swifties are going to come after you, bro. You better watch out, man.
They might come after me.
Better be careful. Robin, Niners or Chiefs?
Chiefs.
Chiefs. Rocco,
49ers.
49ers. Okay, so we got 2 Chiefs, 2 Niners. What does the chat think? Are you guys rooting for the Chiefs or the Niners? Let us know. Also, I know Robin mentioned free parking all last week. There is no free parking, and we can't even park here.
Yeah, puppy balls. I love.
We can't even
puppy
park the puppy ball. Yeah, that was a good
balls.
one.
I love them.
Guys, do yourselves a favor. If you're not following Forrest on Twitter, on X, go follow him at Sistine Research. Also, he does have a YouTube channel as well. He did do a live stream this morning before coming on our show. So go subscribe there. And then if you want insight on Forrest's research and you want to make money, and I am telling you from personal experience, you will make money, okay? You will make money. If you're smart and you know when to take profits, you will make money. There is an affiliate link towards the top of the description of this video. I am telling you, it is 100%, in my opinion, worth your time and worth your money. So big shout out to you, Forrest. With that being said, gentlemen, more specifically, Rocco.
Yes, Cardano. Let's go.
Saw the sweatshirt. Better than XRP, man. You should wear that more often. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have an absolutely amazing weekend. We appreciate you joining us. Come back Monday for another great show. We love you guys. Have a great weekend. Peace.
Sin City, crypto. Everybody know what we here for. Entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I?